If you could keep only one horror movie from each year of the 70s, which would survive? As always in these videos, some choices were easy, others nearly impossible. Here's my list, and be sure to share yours in the comments. 1970 brought The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, the film that turned a 29-year-old Dario Argento from a film critic into the new face of Italian horror. It's a giallo, a stylish mix of mystery and horror, about an American writer in Rome who sees a woman attacked in an art gallery and becomes obsessed with finding the truth. The trail leads through strange clues, unnerving phone calls, and even the cry of a rare bird locked away in a zoo. Argento shot the film in Rome and Naples, filling it with striking compositions, modernist architecture, and sudden bursts of violence. It was his debut, but the trademarks were already there. Black leather gloves, raincoats, and murder scenes staged like twisted art installations. Backed by Ennio Morricone's unsettling score, the film became an international hit, earning praise from critics and drawing comparisons to Hitchcock. It's credited with making giallo a worldwide phenomenon and sparking a wave of animal thrillers. Now let's jump to 1971, and another directorial debut. This time it's John Hancock's first feature, Let's Scare Jessica to Death, a strange, unsettling tale about a woman recently released from a mental institution. Moving into a lakeside farmhouse with her husband and a friend, Jessica encounters a mysterious drifter named Emily. Whispers in the dark, pale figures glimpsed at a distance, hostile townsfolk, and rumors of a drowned bride who still roams the island all blur the line between sanity and horror. Shot in rural Connecticut, the film's isolated farms, weathered mansions, and autumn chill set the tone. Its eerie synthesizer score and ambiguous storytelling keep the viewer guessing. Are we seeing reality, or Jessica's fragile mind unraveling? Hancock, inspired by The Turn of the Screw, built the film around that uncertainty. Though it received mixed reviews at the time, the movie went on to become a cult classic, praised for its haunting atmosphere and unique take on the vampire myth. And once again, a directorial debut. In 1972, Wes Craven's The Last House on the Left pushed horror into dangerous territory. Loosely based on Ingmar Bergman's The Virgin Spring, it tells the story of two teenage girls who fall into the hands of sadistic fugitives, and of the brutal revenge their parents take when the killers unknowingly seek shelter in their home. Shot on a $90,000 budget with mostly unknown actors, the film's raw, almost documentary style made the violence feel disturbingly real. Craven and producer Sean Cunningham wanted to strip away the glamour often attached to on-screen death, and the result was both shocking and divisive. The MPAA demanded multiple cuts, some theaters refused to show it, and in the UK it was banned for decades. Promotional campaigns leaned into the outrage, using the now famous tagline, "To avoid fainting, keep repeating, it's only a movie." Despite, or because of, the controversy, it became a box office hit, grossing over $3 million, and later gained cult status. Late in 1973, one horror film took the world by storm. Of course, it was The Exorcist. Directed by William Friedkin and adapted from William Peter Blatty's best-selling novel, it told the story of a 12-year-old girl's demonic possession and the two priests who risk their lives to save her. Blatty and Friedkin fought the studio to cast relative unknowns, believing fresh faces would make the terror more convincing. Production was notoriously difficult. A fire destroyed the set, injuries occurred, and rumors of a curse spread. Friedkin pushed actors to extremes, shooting in a refrigerated set so breath would show, firing guns on set to provoke reactions, and composer Lalo Schifrin's original score was rejected in favor of the now iconic Tubular Bells. When the film opened the day after Christmas, it sparked chaos. Long lines in the winter cold, reports of fainting and vomiting, police called to manage crowds, and cities attempting to ban or restrict it. It went on to earn $193 million in its initial run, becoming the highest-grossing horror film for decades. The Exorcist also made history as the first horror film nominated for Best Picture, receiving 10 Oscar nominations and winning for Adapted Screenplay and Sound. Its re-releases and constant cultural references have kept its place secure in both horror and cinema history. Released in 1974, Tobe Hooper's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre didn't just shock audiences, it rewrote the rules of horror. Grainy, sunburnt visuals, the nightmare world of the Sawyer family, and Leatherface's unforgettable first appearance all came together to create a film that still hits like a punch to the gut. Unlike its sequels and reboots, the original is loaded with style and subtext, using its world to reflect the decay of the American dream in the 1970s. The broken-down houses and menacing locals paint a vision of America that feels almost post-apocalyptic. And that's what makes the terror linger. The chilling sense that these people could really exist, hidden away from society, living by their own violent rules. In this world, blood and chaos aren't accidents. They're tradition. In one of the earlier videos, we looked at the many horror films of 1975 that still hold up. But if only one could remain, the choice would be clear. Steven Spielberg's Jaws. Released in the summer of 1975, this was no mere shark movie. It was a cultural earthquake that reshaped cinema. Working with a modest $9 million budget and constantly battling malfunctioning mechanical sharks nicknamed Bruce, Spielberg leaned into suspense over spectacle. That limitation became the film's greatest strength, amplified by John Williams' now iconic two-note score that still signals danger in the popular imagination. Most of the shoot took place on location at Martha's Vineyard, where unpredictable ocean conditions dragged the production from a planned 55 days to over 150. Tempers frayed, costs rose, and Spielberg feared his career might end before the film was finished. Instead, Jaws opened with an unprecedented wide release and a heavy TV marketing campaign, something unheard of at the time. It terrified audiences, grossed over $477 million worldwide, and set the template for the modern summer blockbuster. Lines like, "We're gonna need a bigger boat," became part of pop culture, and the so-called Jaws effect kept beachgoers out of the water for years. Nearly 5 decades later, its bite hasn't dulled. In 1976, audiences saw the very first Stephen King adaptation, and probably one of the best to this day. Brian De Palma's Carrie blended supernatural horror with the raw emotions of teenage life, creating a film that's as tragic as it is terrifying. Sissy Spacek plays Carrie White, a painfully shy high schooler tormented by her classmates and controlled by her abusive, fanatically religious mother, played by Piper Laurie. Carrie's humiliation at school and at home awakens her telekinetic powers, which grow stronger the more she's pushed. It all builds to the prom, where a cruel prank triggers one of the most unforgettable climaxes in horror history. De Palma's split-screen shots, slow motion, and sudden bursts of violence turn the scene into a masterpiece of suspense and shock. Shot for under $2 million, Carrie became both a box office success and a critical hit, earning Oscar nominations for Spacek and Laurie, a rare honor for a horror film. Another Dario Argento film on this list, 1977's Suspiria, is a masterclass in turning style into pure terror. Its vivid colors, pounding goblin score, and surreal violence shouldn't work together. Yet here they do, creating one of the most hypnotic horror films ever made. Many have tried to copy its atmosphere. Few have even come close. The story follows Susie Banyan, an American student who travels to a prestigious ballet academy in Germany. But from the moment she arrives, something feels wrong. Strange noises in the night, classmates falling ill, and whispers of dark forces point to a secret lurking within the school's walls. Decades later, it still feels like a nightmare brought to life. In 1978, John Carpenter directed Halloween, a film that set a new benchmark for low-budget horror. Made for just $325,000 and shot in only 20 days, it leaned on suspense, atmosphere, and Carpenter's unforgettable score instead of gore. The gamble paid off. The film grossed over $70 million worldwide, becoming the most successful independent movie of its time. The story begins in 1963, when 6-year-old Michael Myers murders his sister and is locked away in a psychiatric hospital. 15 years later, he escapes and returns to his hometown of Haddonfield, Illinois. On Halloween night, masked and silent, he stalks teenager Laurie Strode, Jamie Lee Curtis in her film debut, and her friends, leaving a trail of bodies in his wake. With its slow burn tension, iconic villain, and lasting influence, Halloween didn't just terrify audiences, it launched a franchise and reshaped horror for decades to come. Though it's already been featured in the video about 70s sci-fi, Alien is just as essential when talking about horror. There's not a single element out of place. Ridley Scott proved himself as one of the greats with this film alone. The effects still hold up, the cast is flawless, the setting is richly detailed, the story is compelling, and above all, it's masterfully suspenseful. Set in the future, it follows a space crew on their way back to Earth who answer a mysterious distress call. What they find leads them into a deadly encounter with one of the most terrifying creatures ever put on screen, and survival becomes a violent contest against an unstoppable force. No matter how many times it's watched, Alien never loses its impact.